There were, I think, 600 people in the first semester. And that was 10 years ago, a bit longer than that. Then I started 2019, and we were studying with 120 people in the first semester. And then looking at since 2024, there are 60 doing mechanical engineering.
How could it be with all the gigacasting and all the technology just pouring into die casting?
It's the people that are saying, I want to do mechanical engineering. It's far too late at that point to say, look at these cool new technologies, especially. Ask a 17 or 18-year-old just in school, what is high pressure die casting, and they will give you big eyes and an open mouth. I never heard about die casting, especially high pressure die casting and rheocasting, before I started my mechanical engineering studies.
So basically it comes down to going to a university for a technical field and then by chance having a professor that teaches casting that has an interesting lecture and then sliding into that direction. Hello and welcome. And today we have an episode which is highly impacted by the walk through the Eurogus. Because when you're walking around and looked at the booth, what you see were typically middle-aged guys standing at the booth. And that's something where we think, why does it need to be that way? And for that, we had a premiere today that I'm not the youngest guy in the room. Therefore, welcome Paul Becker to the podcast.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
We know you. Some people know you. You're pretty famous for your work at the GTK together with Professor Felby. But for the ones that doesn't know you, could you give us a brief intro of yourself, Mr. Becker?
Yeah, of course, and I hope it doesn't stay Mr. Becker for the rest of the evening. It's Paul for you guys especially. My name is Paul Becker. I'm currently working at the GTK in Kassel, where I also did my bachelor's in mechanical engineering. Had a lot of focus in my bachelor's on the casting industry and casting subjects in my studies. And that's why I, kind of drifted into the whole casting industry and all of the stuff behind it, a lot of the customers, the companies, the processes and everything. And I did my bachelor's degree while still being, mentored by Mr. Andreas Schilling, who I think is also well known around here. And did it in the section of rheocasting. And that's where I somewhat slided down the wrong slide and I ended up doing a lot of rheocasting and a lot of casting stuff. Don't know how it happened, but happened.
Yeah. There it is. And this bachelor thesis you made, investigation of the parameters of pre-material production in the Rheo metal process with regards to microstructure and strength. Interesting title, pretty long. You won. There was an election of the best R&D work by someone younger than 40. I guess 30 as well. And you took the first prize on this at Eurogas.
Just to make that clear, I won the audience award on the European Young Talent Award. I just made fourth place in the whole award, but the audience award, I seemed to have reached a lot of people in the audience who said, we like rheocasting.
Maybe it was a good report too.
Absolutely, and also to step in, being fourth on a European competition is a really high achievement. So don't short sell yourself on that.
Yeah. To be fair, I was one of the 5 finalists to get there. So there was abstract, so application, then an online pitch, and then I got a chance to present my bachelor thesis, shortened it a bit, but at the Eurogas this year. So I was very, very happy to get a chance to present it to such a wide audience and also take home fourth place and of course the audience award, which is just a huge honoring for me.
Yeah. So any positive reaction after winning this?
Yeah, of course. That's the positive reaction was probably mine because I was quite surprised that I was winning something since the competition was such great competition. They were all submitting their master thesis and I was just putting up my bachelor thesis in the very, very niche market that is rheocasting.
Is it a niche, do you think, still?
Well, die casting, especially high pressure die casting, can be considered quite a niche production method compared to everything else you do in mechanical engineering. And then you slide down the slippery slope to rheocasting. So I think it's niche compared to the application worldwide. But seeing a great growing trend, interest from different people, different companies, also in the scientific world, of course. So there's a huge spotlight on rheocasting at the moment, especially the rheometal process, of course. But it also triggered, I think, a wave of interest again in the rheocasting technology, not just a rheometal technology. Some processes are being dug up again, getting a comeback. So still a niche, but I think a niche that cannot be ignored.
That's perfect. So we danced quite a bit around the topic. Now I think it would be the perfect time to give us a quick introduction. What was your bachelor thesis about, to give the audience an idea on what we're talking about?
I did my bachelor thesis, of course, on the rheometal process, which Staffan and Fabian are well familiar with. We got at the GTK in 2022, we got a slurry maker by Comtech, which Andreas Schilling at the time advocated for, to get this process in our shop floor to do more investigating about it. We had some previous work done, research done on other rheocasting processes, especially the IDRA SSR process, but we changed it up for the rheometal slurry maker. And my bachelor thesis basically was just to experiment with the pre-material that comes out of after the slurry production, and see what how the biggest two process parameters, the superheat of the melt and the addition of EM, so the mass addition, have an effect on the pre-material. Before casting, we didn't want to look at casted parts after the whole die casting and process to have another black box that we don't know what's going on with. We just wanted to see what do we change before casting when playing around with the superheat and the EM size. And then there I did my investigations. We caught the material before casting in a gravity die cast, copper die, chilled it down quite fast and quenched it, and then had analysis on the microstructure, mechanical properties, and of course also the thermal conductivity on the material.
Great. Many hours in the laboratory.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's at the university. You always get the chance to decide somewhat on how much effort you will have to put into your bachelor's or master thesis. Maybe you just do a theoretical work or some simulations or construction. But then, of course, there's also the experimental side, experimental setup with trials that you do, and it takes a lot of time. It's not just the writing time you get, and also looking at all of your results and the literature and everything, and putting together a nice thesis. And this takes a lot of time, of course. But I think that's the most important part of your whole university career, that you do something that you participate in research. Not just repeating something that has already been done, but also to say, I did a new thing that someone never has done before. I'm doing a new research, which is, I think, pretty amazing, and why I think everyone that's at a university or is interested in mechanical engineering and especially casting should always take the chance to do.
But what do you think about technology in cars when it comes to casting in a couple of years from now? Where do you think the trends are?
Yeah, that's always a tricky question to answer, because a lot of the companies that come to the GTK want to do some trials or say, we are interested in rheocasting, and what can you do about that? The much more interesting questions for us is, what is your problem? What are your problems? And sadly, a lot of the times we don't get a clear answer. Therefore, then I could much more clearly answer to you what is especially is a new trend, a new technology. But I think from the experience that we've gotten, that in the automotive industry, they, of course, factor number one is always cost. Cost and surviving here, especially in Europe, in the casting industry, and getting an edge in technology, knowledge, and skill. And that's a thing because it's not that new, the process. Developed quite a long time ago by Mr. Wesson and his doctoral.
2005.
2005, 2000, yeah, around that time. So over 20 years old now. But the industrial application, not that old, just I think 5 or 6 years. When was it published at the Eurogas? I think 2020?
Yeah, something like that, yes.
Something like that. And well, it's quite new, and also it's very, very unexplored. There are so many black boxes in the whole process that cannot be answered at the moment, which still need to be answered to completely understand the process. I don't think the process will ever be completely understood. When can you truly say that a process or something in the physical or natural science is completely fully discovered? It never will be.
No, it never will be. Also, we've seen it with so many simulations. They are getting better and better, and you really can demonstrate what you can do and see small defects coming out. And then you have one guy pouring oil in the shot sleeve, and suddenly you have oil everywhere, and your simulation goes out the window. Especially when you have that strong correlation between what is happening in the process planning and what is happening on the machine, that is really detached, these two things, which is happening in so many foundries. That still makes a casting not an academic discipline. It's more like for many a trial and error. They narrow it down, and then it's playing around. And I think there's still a lot of room to grow and to develop things, as you mentioned it, to really get in people with fresh ideas, new concepts, and then try to better the process. Especially in Europe, we have to do something. We cannot wait for an OEM to tell you what to do, because it's way easier for them to buy it cheaper somewhere else. And when you're competing on commodities, you're out. And I think there's really the chance with rheocasting to get into profitable business, even though you have to take some risks, because it's a new process for many, and not everything is fully understood.
Yeah, of course. It's a big investment. It's also a gamble. If you can get the knowledge, the complexity of the process, if you can manage to get control of that process, then you get the edge. Then you get to be the smart guy, the first guy that can say, yeah, you are interested in all of the benefits that rheocasting may offer you. Low porosity, lower casting forces, etc., different alloys. Come to me, I can cast it for you. And you don't need to worry about researching all of the stuff, because, well, I got you like that.
Exactly, and also then it's key to develop the applications with it as well, because just competing on the same products with the same material doesn't really work well. It's more about finding things in business development, or doing something new is always a challenge.
But I found a perfect place for this, Between Japan and Europe lies a country called India. Believe it or not, India is the strongest growing market for rheocasting, because they have highly educated people. Many foundries are owned by wealthy families. They tell me they want to take the foundry groups to the next level. They want to compete with China. They cannot compete on price, because they are pretty much the same labor cost and all that. So they have to choose technology. And the customer base in India is so much faster developing next platform versus the European car industry, because it's two-wheelers. And then you can say, two-wheelers, but I mean, there are like 28 million of these vehicles made every year. And if you change the platform every 12 months, you have a development pressure for grinding off those extra 30 grams or getting a little bit better elongation or what have you. So India, my friends, the place to develop.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's also a trend that was apparent at the Eurogas. A lot of Indian customers and foundries being present. Also, we are getting more, interest offerings by Indian companies that want to talk about technology, that have their problems. They are saying, can you solve this for us with your special applications? So I definitely see the trend you're talking about.
Yeah, and then comes actually the US. And then we have Japan, China, the rest of Asia. And on the last position in my development schedule is actually Europe.
Yeah. I would guess so. Well, it's a quite conservative industry branch, and especially when it comes to new technologies, very niche technologies that aren't the norm and aren't tested out for 40 years. You always are put up to a very high pedestal, and you're very much under the focus when talking about new technologies, especially here in Europe.
Yeah, but you look at the newcomers. I mean, if you look in China, if you see non-legacy producers, also in the US, you have a much higher number of non-legacy producers of cars, and they move faster. But in Europe, you don't have any strong. There's no European Tesla, if I put it like that. And this is a strong factor that you need to have a market where someone is not tied to old investments or older industrial structures with unions or whatever the problem is, to be that fast and to be that brutal in decisions. Because they can develop parts, and then 2 weeks after nomination and SOP, they tell you, no, we're not going to use this, and then the rest of the year it's zero. That happens too with the non-legacy guys.
Yeah, also following through with that, just because you have something in development and have a ready product, there is no guarantee that purchasing will say, okay, let's buy that thing, or can we redesign it with an external company to make it cheaper in a different process, and then scale down the requirements so far that we can reach that level. These things happen all the time, so that is also quite a lot of things wasted. The question for me, especially with Paul in the room, is that the problem that we have these overaging in the foundry industry, that you look at the average German foundry, the average age is 47. In the next 5 years, around 20% of the workforce is retiring, and starting something new before retirement isn't the highest priorities for many, I think. And then isn't that the time basically to bring in new talent, someone like you that really has experience with the process in different fields, and to challenge the existing processes, bring in fresh ideas?
Yes. Yes to that. I think what you're talking about, the very old age and also a lot of people leaving there and starting up something new. I wouldn't say it's always the case. Sometimes you also have people of old age just before retiring, and they say to the new guys that are taking over their positions, we are looking at something new now. We want to look at something more innovative before I go. We both will look at something that's maybe giving you an edge. Of course, you also have the people that say, I've been here for 40 years. We do it like we did it for 40 years now, and I don't want to do anything new before my retirement. But I say it's 50-50 on how the mindset of the people that are leaving the company is. Is it, am I done with the company, with the industry, with working life, and I'm leaving now? So then I'm probably not interested in new innovative technologies. But if that's someone that has a passion in their work and in their industry, and especially in their company, I think they are still saying, yeah, I see times are changing. It's not the same market as it was 30 years before. We need to do something new. So come on, we do this together now until I leave and get it on the way.
All right. So that is a little bit of a myth then. I mean, you find 50-50 conservative guys around 30, 40, 50 as well.
Yeah, it's just my very short and very narrow experience that I have in the industry now. Just a few couple years that I've been able to watch it and slightly take part in it.
So maybe the old saying is correct. It's not how old you are; it is about how you are old.
Yes, yeah. I would very much agree to that statement.
But you have a deep insights in the technology area. Do you find it problematic to get your voice heard in a room filled with guys being in a foundry for years and years and years?
Well, overall, I would say it is more challenging to be heard and also to be taken seriously. But again, as you just stated, it's not about how old you are, so how you are old. A lot of older people are also interested in the what the young people are doing, what they are thinking about the new stuff, what they are thinking about the old stuff. Of course, then they're open for discussion, and they are not hesitant to share their knowledge with you and also their experience, and to that you are still the newcomer, to make that clear. But again, I would say it's much more about the people you are interacting with and what you can offer them. But still, I would have to say, especially in such niche applications, you're put under such a spotlight, and you have to put every word, every fact that you put out there is put on a scale and is looked at from all of the different angles. And maybe if you have something that's much more traditional, these questions aren't asked about that. They say, yeah, that's fine. What is 5% scrap? Isn't that bad? Then you come with your rheocasting product. 5% scrap, really? Why not 0? And it's always a bit, not to say unfair.
What you're saying, you have to have your facts straight, and
Yes.
you probably should go to a class of diplomacy or something before, so you kind of play the room right.
Yeah. Exactly. You have to play your cards right. You have to read the room right. I think that sums it up quite well. To be taken seriously by then older persons in the industry, be aware that you have to be a bit more on your tippy toes and get your facts and everything right. If you can deliver with also then quite a certainty, things will go well.
I get it. And then the combination being pretty academic in an under-academized world. I mean, there are not that many academics if you look at the older guard in the die-casting industry. So both being under 30 and also deep into more research-driven academia, that's another challenge, I guess.
Yeah, when you are in high-pressure die casting, not just rheocasting, casting industry, the casting is, highly productive. So number one thing you always have to keep in mind is money. If you don't, it is how it is. If you don't recognize that you will cast the best part there ever was, but it costs 1,000 times more than the part that's just 90% the way there, no one will ever go the way to get it right, the scientific type of right. You always have to keep in mind what you are doing is still about money, and people are having jobs around it, and people and companies need to be surviving. It always has to be kept in mind. But then money can never be the drop dead argument for everything to say what is scientific and what not. That's a balancing act you always have to do in the scientific when doing scientific research, especially with companies that are paying you for your scientific research and everything. You need to acknowledge it's about money and how companies can save money or make more money with something, but then also not to greenwash everything and disregard the scientific part.
But if one makes the conclusion then that, yeah, I got a foundry, I need to inject it with someone younger with a more academic degree that has deep knowledge into something. I mean, there are a lot of people like this, if you scratch on it. Let's talk about recruitment. You have decided, okay, let's get someone under 30 because 5 guys are retiring within 5 years, and yeah, we need to do something about the company. A couple of simple questions. Where do you find them?
That's quite a good question. I sometimes have to ask myself, because when looking at my university, when Mr. Schinning started, there were, I think, 600 people in the first semester. And that was 10 years ago, a bit longer than that. Then I started 2019, and we were starting with 120 people in the first semester. And then looking at since 2024, there are 60 doing mechanical engineering.
How could it be with all the gigacasting and all the technology just pouring into die casting?
It's the people that are saying, yeah, I want to do mechanical engineering. It's far too late at that point to say, yeah, look at these cool new technologies, especially. Ask a 17 or 18-year-old just in school, what is high pressure die casting, and they will give you big eyes and an open mouth. I never heard about die casting, especially high pressure die casting and rheocasting, before I started my mechanical engineering studies.
So basically it comes down to going to a university for a technical field and then by chance having a professor that teaches casting that has an interesting lecture and then sliding into that direction. But I don't think that's a viable solution for the whole industry. That works well in Kassel with Professor Fehlbier, but as an overall, it's quite a terrible outlook for the future when recruitment just works that way by chance.
I think what it is that the industry needs to be a bit more louder. To see to put out there something like these new trends like gigacasting, everything, huge machines that use liquid metal to press it into a part in milliseconds with huge forces. I mean,
It's cool.
To me,
It's a
it's
big
cool.
machine. Yeah.
It's
That's
awesome.
super cool. And
Yeah,
especially when you see around in the social media, you see for especially so many CNC guys, and they get thousands of likes and millions of clicks when they're just machining some bracket for a holder of a machine. Imagine if the foundry industry would do similar things, show what they're actually doing. Of course, you cannot show the high-end, newest things, but there are a lot of things that are running in serious production and are out there anyway, so you can show details.
Yeah,
And
just as a normal foundry, just put out. Oh look, there's a new metal being poured into the holding furnace and everything. Just the regular working day experience. I think if that being posted more out there, there will be more interested in more spotlight on the industry as a whole. To be more present.
yeah, but do you know any foundry who has an active social media account?
A foundry.
Huntman.
A foundry. I think, a Huntman would be the first one
Huntman,
to
okay.
mind. But then I don't want to embarrass myself, but I don't think I know anyone.
But hey, if the three of us haven't seen it, then it's not existing, even if it exists. This is like Schrödinger's cat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have a box. You have a box with a social media. You don't know if it's alive or if it's dead. But
especially we are all in this. We are all in the same bubble. If we don't see it, then no one else sees it. And
no.
That's the foundries. Then you have the suppliers and everything. When one always comes to mind is Bühler. They I think are quite active on social media, but that's due to it's a mixed company. It's a modern company with different technologies and approaches to everything. And I think if Bühler was just Bühler diecasting was on its own, I don't think they would be as prominent and as active in social media and everything as they are.
You know, you have to put your stuff. You know, then you have to be. I mean.
Exactly. You have to put yourself more out there and to force yourself to put yourself more out there. You won't see it in numbers. Return of investment will not be visible directly in your books.
No.
It's more of a changing the whole attitude in the industry to not be as close-minded and conservative as it is, but be a bit more spread out and be more accepting of new stuff, technologies, and about a new world, how to operate in it.
That's a cool statement, because that's exactly coming back to the beginning when I said, okay, when you're coming in, you have to. When you come in new, you cannot have everything academically correct, everything perfectly lined up. Now you have to take risk, do something new. And exactly we have that thing here, that if you are the one that could be replaced by an automatic function, is there a plus at the end of the line in Excel, or is it a minus? And that's the CEO just deciding if it's green, it's okay. If it's red, it's not okay. Then you will never do that. But you will run out of people to employ when you don't do these things. And especially with social media, it takes 1 year, 2 years, 3 years until you really know what to do, what works. And you have to put in the time on day one to that. And if you do that on a side work Friday at 3 o'clock, that thing will fail right away.
Yeah. But imagine I have identified a couple of youngsters. I want to employ them. What do I need to offer?
Wouldn't be, if you identify them wherever, to go directly towards the people and not just wait for them to somewhat slowly walk towards yourself, but to present what can your company offer them, not just in terms of salary, but also in terms of how is work being done here. Also, you have to be honest. It's the foundry industry. It's not everything is sitting in a white office with a nice chair and a nice coffee machine. It is also hands-on approach a lot of the times. It's sometimes a dirty industry, but that's how it is, and that's part of the charm of it. But then you also have to acknowledge that, and you have to acknowledge that there are people that will be on the shop floor, that will be in the foundry, that will need to travel a lot to different customers around the world to have their normal social life interrupted like that. And then you also have the guys that can enjoy to sit at home, do home office and everything, to compensate that. To say, yeah, it is a more hands-on approach you will have here, maybe as a process engineer, maybe as a technician, where you have to travel, or maybe you have to stand right next to the machine and overlook a shift, the production, because you need to be sure that everything is working fine. And that time you are not the guy having home office, so this needs to be compensated for, to acknowledge that as a company, and to reward the time you are putting extra into it, because it's always if you have to travel, especially worldwide, it is a lot of extra time you have to put into that. I think both of you are well aware of that.
We call it
quite a lot.
work-life balance in Sweden. Is it?
Yeah, exactly.
But do you think this is more important for people in your age than people in my age?
I would guess so.
I would also.
Yeah, I don't think I know a lot of friends or young people around me that say, yeah, I want to do the 60-hour week or 80-hour week, and I don't need any free time. I don't like having a family or anything. No, that's not realistic. It's also not realistic to say, yeah, we have a 25-hour week going forward in an industry that's struggling. But you have to reward people when they are willing to put in the extra work, to put in the extra mile, and to acknowledge that as a company, and especially for younger people, to make it clear to them that you recognize they have a social life. You recognize that you are putting more stress on them if you are sending them away or giving them more special tasks that are not sitting in the office or home office, but also to develop yourself, doing if you have a technician who would like to do a mechanical engineering degree or in the casting industry and everything, but say, yeah, but I have to do the work and then on the weekend and everything. Yeah, if you give him 20% of his time to do his studies or for his university and everything, it won't directly, he's not available for 20% of the time, but you get a much more intelligent, more educated worker out of it.
Isn't that exactly what work-life balance is about? It's not about having that 25-hour, 4-day-a-week work week. It's basically like, hey, there are times where it's stressful. We need to put in these 60-hour weeks to get things done. But then there also needs to be the compensations. Okay, it's not a one-way street. The next week, when again everything cools down, then you do a 20-hour work week and relax, because then it's a long weekend and you can relax and things like that. I think these things are way more important, and also that's good that it's challenged, because yes, it is really difficult when you're traveling for 8-10 hours, time difference, being somewhere, starting from the next day, everything ready, and then you come back and then, okay, we just calculate your 8 hours for the whole trip, and then there's no lay room. You arrive at 5 in the morning, but at 8 you have to be at the office again, because travel time doesn't count in that way.
But this is the old tradition foundry stuff, right? You should be
that's still in many employee handbooks.
7 in the evening. Yeah. I mean, God forbid that you land on Arlanda before 5 o'clock and go directly home, right? I mean, this is the old guys. But it was so interesting in Sweden, because a friend of mine, she's manager for a lot of developers in this big software company. I'm not going to say the brand, but it's huge. And during COVID, everybody was sitting home. And they measured this because they could see the code lines and error and faults and all that. And they said like this, well, the slackers and underperformer, they were as much of underperforming as before. The average guys made more work done, all right? But their top performers did even more, because they didn't need to commute 1 hour to work and 1 hour back. Okay, they probably started a dishwasher sometime during the day, etc., etc. But the effect they had out of COVID was actually positive. Again, slackers were slackers, but high performers were extra high performers. Yeah. And the bulk, the average in the Gauss bell curve, actually moved to the right. So
yeah, absolutely. If you take care of the people and don't see work-life balance as a one-way street, it comes back again and I think that's something what we're seeing now, that it has to open up some structures to work in that favor. And it's an easy thing to do. It doesn't really cost you that much, if it costs anything at all.
Yeah, but if you look at an old foundry, extremely flat. It's a family-owned business. The dad is the CEO, takes care of the sales to the same customers he's been selling to for 20 years. The older brother is the production manager, and the younger brother is managing the tool room. And then it's workers. I mean, that's basically the organization up to 8 die-casting machines in Europe for years and years and years and years. I mean, how do you do career in that if you're not allowed to do it via education and developing your skills?
For sure. But I'm also, going a bit back to Fabian's approach or also to you, Stefan, when telling about the hybrid work and also the home office aspect of it. As a young person, I like going to work. I like being at the office with the people that you can communicate with, and also to be on site and where the machines and everything is. It's nice to have the opportunity when you say, well, you just have a day where you have to do reports or anything. Yeah, you can do that from home as well as you can from work and everything. But I don't think that home office for everyone always is the best idea. Well, get the ability to choose, but also like it. And I don't think it's a big problem when the companies say, "Yeah, we like to see you on a regular base in the week here," so that we can. A lot of discussions that I have at the university at work with my colleagues that are not directly inside of the meeting or the.
No, it's a coffee machine ideas.
Exactly, and you have a lot of knowledge transfer that's just happening randomly. But you get this information, that, and then there comes an idea comes together, which would never have been there if you're just sitting alone at home, even though you're very, very productive. But I liked this exchange.
The mixture is the thing. Travels,
exactly, it's the
office,
mixture.
home office. The mixture.
Especially going back to your research, if you have to write everything up, you can do that way better when you're sitting at home without the other ones in the office taking phone calls. That's way easier to do. And then when you do the stuff in the laboratory, when you do the things in the casting machine, when you collect the information, talk to people about, hey, how to do that, for that, be in the office, stand around the coffee machine, talk about these things. But yeah, there are these mixture to. And especially if you hire quality people, which you should do, then these people know where they can do their work the best. Let them be in the home office to write the reports, make the board presentations, and then the next day they're coming back and sitting in the tool room, checking up on the latest tool to see where we can improve them.
My takeaway from all this discussion is when you approach a youngster, approach them, don't wait for them, and budget for that sidetrack of competence and know-how build up from classes, courses, I don't know, going to another foundry for a half year to be in another country, something. But don't put them to wait in line for 35 years to overtake the production manager role, because I mean that's hardly that step.
Exactly. I think that's a very, very great resume for it to budget it to send the people out, especially when they are still young, not too much bound, to give them the opportunities to look at new stuff. You will get so much more knowledge from that as a company.
Also, if someone interested in something that is not directly work-related, or someone's interested in programming databases, pay for that education. That's so cheap to do online. Let them do that on company time. It will be amazing what comes out of that personal interest in the everyday work life. And also this flexibility, that is something that brings a lot of benefits.
Yeah, because we're not thinking straight in our heads. The creative process is never linear.
Yeah, I think Fabian mentioned a quite well keyword for it: flexibility. Be flexible as an employer with your employee. Give them the flexibility to work when and from where they are, but still give them structure. Not to say, yeah, you do everything on your own. Well, if you're a newcomer, you need the structure. You need something that you need a red line in the day in your whole work to be focused on, but not to have the red line tied around your neck and be dragged behind it, but to say, yeah, there it is. How you follow it, it's your thing. But we give you the flexibility. Also, then the flexibility comes back when the employer is flexible towards you. That also means that you will be flexible. You don't drop the pen at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. When something is happening on the machine, you stay there until 5, 6, 7, 8 until you have a
point where you can stop or give it to the next shift to continue. And that's what you want to have, basically.
Yeah. What a beautiful words for ending this episode. You will speak about the stop and going the extra mile. And again, it's been a great pleasure having you here, Paul. And
thank you very much for having me. It's a real honor to be valued. That my opinion is valued enough to be in a podcast by also listen to by a lot of.
Don't sell yourself that short. The funny thing is, we normally say that we're looking forward to meet each other on some kind of trade fair or something. But when it comes to you, I'm pretty sure we will meet a number of times in the upcoming years, 2026 and onwards. So see you out there, Paul. And again, thank you for being here, and good luck with everything. And for you who are listening, please don't forget to subscribe and click if you like it, and give us your comment what you want us to talk about the next time. What did we forget to ask Mr. Paul Becker, ladies and gentlemen? So thank you for today. Sayonara.
Sayonara. Thank you for having me.
Great that you tuned in. Think about the flexibility, bring that into your company, and then we see us very strict in 2 weeks again with the next podcast.
You know it. Bye.
Bye.